please, don't try anything that you're about to see us do at home. Ever.
On this way too drunk to drive episode, Adam and Jamie get sloshed for science.
Woo! No, I usually don't let people do that.
What is the best way to get sober in a hurry? And is the myth of beer goggles fact or fantasy?
She's pretty darn cute.
Then Cary Grant and Tori rebuild an ancient weapon of mass destruction.
Watcha!
They start with one fire arrow, then try launching 200 to see if the Watcha lives up to its legend. Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage. And Jamie Heineman.
Feel like I'm ready to go out clubbing.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Freedom!
Joining them, Grant Imahara.
You suck!
Tori Belleci.
Put your back into it.
And Carrie Byron.
Explosives and electricity. Woo!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Let's wet our whistles with the myth of beer goggles.
I'm feeling a little left out here. And I'm glad. What's going on?
Beer goggles.
Beer goggles?
Beer goggles. It's been out there waiting for us the whole time, and for some reason we haven't tested it. The idea that alcohol has this magical property that will make people around you more attractive the more you drink.
Actually, I feel like I've been testing this for over a decade.
Yes, but that's anecdotally. We are going to test it scientifically.
Great, more drinking on the job.
Jamie knows that eventually this will turn ugly. They'll have to lose their inhibitions, and maybe their lunch, to test the truth of beer goggles.
This seems to be a really subjective thing. We need to be objective if we're going to be scientific. How are we going to do that?
Large sample size?
That's exactly what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that we rate photos. Specifically, we get a bunch of photos, us of women, you of men. We review a whole bunch and rate them when we're sober, and then we get drunk and re-rate those photos.
And see if there's a difference.
Exactly.
But before we raise our glasses, let's meet the newest member of the team with a vital role to play.
This is our new smartboard. Not only is it a really big, beautiful interface, but it's also interactive. Let me show you a couple tricks. Watch this. Ha, ha, ha. How about that, huh? Huh? You like that? It gets better. Check it out. Not only can I even do that, I can also diagram what's going to happen in real time. Now, I'm not going to go too much farther showing you the tricks this thing can do because we're about to use it a whole bunch in this very episode.
The board's first job is to help Adam, still sober, rate the looks of 30 women from 1 to 10. Here we go. He's got just 5 seconds to score each photo. He can see the time tick down on the left of the screen.
I gotta say, the exercise of giving a quick rating, it doesn't feel great. It's kind of an awful thing to have to do. Like, I find myself resisting giving a 1 or a 2, but...
Yeah, but...
I got a 96! So the total possible score is potentially 300. Out of that, I give a 96. The question from here on in will be, as I drink, will my overall score go up?
Now it's Carrie's turn to rate the chaps.
Quite honestly, there are no supermodels on here. Oh, God, do I rate you on your hair?
Carrie's either much more generous or less discriminating than Adam.
Okay, total score, 154.
But she does know what pushes her buttons.
I noticed I was rating higher on men that looked confident. If they looked sort of squirrely and really apprehensive about the whole thing, I definitely gave them a lower score.
Now for a man who's anything but squirrely.
Your turn.
Okay. I'm about to look at a bunch of pictures of women, apparently, and try to objectify them.
Jamie's got a point. Snap decisions based on looks alone are shallow and shameful. But hey, it's all in the name of social science.
It's set up so that it's sort of a gut reaction. I don't know how consistent it's going to be, but that's where the averaging becomes important, because you've got some kind of a number that should show a trend.
And Jamie's trendy number? Higher than Adam's, but lower than Carrie's.
So I got a 116. Whatever that means.
Well, it means nothing till they've done this twice more. First, slightly inebriated, and then stumbling, dribbling drunk.
Hello, Ginger.
Hi, Adam. How you doing?
Good. How about 3 beers?
The aim here is to get buzzed. For the boys, that means 2 or 3 quick brewskis. For Carrie, maybe 1 less.
What's red and smells like blue paint?
What?
Red paint.
She got Jamie giggling.
Ginger keeps the suds coming. And they're ready to test if they're officially buzzed.
Let's do a breathalyzer. Let's get some science going.
That sounds like fun.
0.06.
Over to Carrie, who proves she's too drunk to drive.
0.08. She's at the legal limit.
Then Jamie blows the same number as Adam.
0.06.
But will their slightly pickled perceptions affect the way they judge the opposite sex?
How am I going to do when I'm buzzed? I don't think it'll be a whole lot different than sober.
Adam's not so sure, and he's the first to try it.
I'm at a 0.06. You guys, don't cheat. Don't look over here. You got it?
No problem.
Okay. Adam buzzed. Here we go.
This time around, they've got 30 new faces, judged by others to be exactly as attractive as the first batch.
I can already feel my ratings being higher. I found it much easier to rate them buzzed than sober. I started to feel bad for the ones and twos. While sober, buzzed, didn't care at all. 1, 1, 2, you're out.
Harsh words, but his tally supports the myth. He is finding these faces more attractive.
My buzzed score overall is 121.
That's 25 more than his sober test. So on average, each girl rates almost a full point extra. Now for Carrie, who was far kinder than the boys first time round.
I think I get a little giddy after a few drinks, so I think I might be pretty generous after I've had a beer or two.
Or 3. Carrie also has 30 new faces to rate. Again, all average Joes.
That is some fabulous hair.
But the beer goggle effect seems to be working in reverse.
Is this an uglier group of people? I wouldn't give most of those guys change if I passed them on the street.
Just 2 hours ago, sober, Carrie rated a similar group at 154. Now that she's loosened up,
My buzz score was 89. I might be a mean drunk. I'm not sure if I was charity rating before because I felt kind of bad for some of the uglier people, but there was absolutely no talent in this group. None.
so to rate the new babes. And remember, he predicted no change whatsoever.
Here we go. Jamie buzzed. My perceptions of what made them attractive or not attractive are pretty much the same as they were the last time, as far as I know. I mean, nice complexion, regular features, signs of health, things like that.
But after 3 beers, Jamie's brain is likely sautéed. It all comes down to one number.
Okay, I'm done. My buzzed score was 105.
His sober score was 116, but we're yet to test anyone cross-eyed drunk. And when we do, the figures, I promise, will surprise you.
I feel like I've met her.
After the break, Tori, Grant, and Carrie revive the legend of the awesome Korean arrow launcher called the Hwacha.
Come on, baby. Come on, watch out.
All right, you guys, this next myth is gonna be insane.
What is it?
That's it, the Hwacha. It's an ancient Korean weapon.
If there's a picture of it, that means it's not a myth, it exists.
Well, we know it exists. What we're gonna test is the legend of the Hwacha, whether or not it could do what they said it could do. Apparently, they could fire 200 arrows all at once, going 500 yards, and all of the arrows explode on impact.
Okay, well, to begin with, any weapon in that era wouldn't have had the benefit of modern explosives or propellants. It was likely based entirely on black powder.
So first we need to find out if black powder can actually propel one of those arrows 500 yards.
Right, and then we need to see if we can get these rockets to explode on impact.
And finally, we need to see if we can launch 200 arrows simultaneously without them all crashing into each other or exploding on the stand.
It's a massive myth to unravel with 3 key parts. 1, can a fire arrow actually travel 500 yards? 2, can it be rigged to explode on impact? And 3, can you really set off 200 at once? So let's start up at the pointy end.
Well, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to build one of these arrows from the materials that the ancient Koreans would have used. I have some bamboo, I have some feathers for my fletching, and finally, a piece of steel to make my arrowheads out of.
Tori proves himself a first-class fletcher and a pretty fair blacksmith.
All right, so my arrow's done. Now it's time to see how it flies. Pretty dang good.
That's 1 down, 199 to go. Tori leaves the hard work to Carrie as he and Grant skip town to visit Zambelli Fireworks in Pennsylvania.
We're lost, aren't we?
The rationale behind the road trip is that the fire arrows work just like skyrockets.
Happen to have some fun while we're here? That's purely coincidental.
Just like fireworks, the Hwacha rockets were charged with black powder. Ours have to travel 500 yards strapped to a 4.5-foot arrow. Grant and Tori are determined to roll their own and Bill is here to help them.
Well, let's see, what's one of these weigh? Oh, about 4 ounces. Every 12 ounces the shell weighs, we add 1 ounce of lift to lift it up in the air. You know, if you guys want to go 500 yards, that's a long ways, so we'll see how a 2-ounce rocket works.
Using 6-inch cardboard tubes, Bill shows how to pack a charge without blowing up the bunker.
And so you do a little bit at a time, and you
Put the rod down in, and you just give it a couple hits.
feels wrong.
Don't hit it too hard, man. I'd hate to see you blow your hand off. You good? Hey.
Grant and Tori make several versions, some with more black powder and some with less.
All right, so we need to see if these arrows can fly 500 yards, so we should walk it out.
They're here to test part 1 of the myth, that a rocket arrow really could make the distance. But 500 yards is a long, long way.
Isn't this how all horror movies start? Didn't that guy say stick to the path? This is gonna be perfect. We're right at the tree line.
The crop ends smack bang on the 500-yard mark. They take the target halfway up a tree so they can see it from the launch site.
At this point, I think we're just going for distance rather than aim. But if I were to take a guess to see whether the arrow would hit him, I'd say we probably wouldn't. But then again, the watchout had 200 arrows. What angle do you want?
Back at the business end, they set the mortar to 45 degrees
Back up.
and start with the smallest rocket. If this baby bear rocket reaches the trees, they can pack up and go home.
Yeah!
Nice! It didn't really work. I'm gonna have to say it went about 0 yards.
Not enough thrust.
Yes. It does look a little embarrassing that, this is our first rocket that we built and it doesn't even fly, but that just means this rocket's too small and the arrow's too heavy.
So they try the mama bear charge,
Back up.
but it's still more blows than goes.
Cool.
There's a lot of reasons why these rockets might not be working. Maybe we didn't pack the black powder tight enough, the nozzle might be the wrong size, or the arrows are just too heavy and this rocket can't give it lift. But we're not gonna give up.
So Grant tries a rocket with more powder and a smaller nozzle.
Quick, they're charging!
Oh, yes! That was nuts! Did you see it go spiral around?
All right, I'm gonna see if I can go find that.
Good luck!
That went more than halfway.
Yeah, 290 yards.
As beautiful as that was, it's still not good enough for this myth. I mean, the arrow only made it to 290 yards. We're not stopping until we reach 500.
For that, they'll need to double the charge by strapping on 2 black powder engines. But will the arrow bear the weight? Grant adjusts the angle to 50 degrees.
That is right on the money.
This field test is all about going the distance. Landing short would make this myth a misfire.
Come on, baby. Come on, watch out.
Come on! Come on!
That looked like it exploded above the trees.
Yes! I think it exploded over the trees, man.
That's 500 yards, buddy.
That went the distance.
The target's untouched, but they've got what they came for. They reached it.
This part of the myth is confirmed. God, this is going to be a nightmare trying to get all 200 arrows to fire off at the same time.
And we still got to make a cart and find out if that explosive charge was mortally wounding.
We got a lot of work. We better get back to the shop.
All right.
Next up, it's close to closing time for the myth of beer goggles.
She's pretty darn cute.
But for Adam and Jamie, the party's only just begun.
Shut up, leave me alone.
Adam, Jamie, and Carrie are risking their lives, that should read livers, to test the myth of beer goggles.
This is the best day at work ever.
They've all done the test sober and then buzzed with varied results. Time to raise the stakes
I think it's time for a scotch.
and maybe lower their standards.
What are you gonna have?
Whatever's in that brown bottle.
Hard to beat a drink of something brown. Carrie still has a lot to learn, like don't tease the wildlife.
Can I style you? Hold on.
No, I usually don't let people do that.
I don't know about you, Jamie, but I'm ready to take this test, and I know that Carrie is.
Adam blows .11
That's good enough.
and Jamie .10.
That works.
So technically, they're both a bit wobbly. As for Carrie,
.13. Dude, you are so ready for this test.
In fact, they're all well primed for part 3 of the Beard Goggles Challenge. These last 30 faces are a random mix of those they've seen sober and buzzed.
She's pretty darn cute. 8. She's very cute. I've met her. It seems like in each group there's a lot more cute chicks.
When he's done, Adam's score reflects his growing enthusiasm.
134? Wow.
But the wild card here is Carrie. She was far harsher buzzed, so this could be anything.
Carrie, drunk.
Carrie, correct. Her 30 guys look set for another beating, assuming she can still see straight.
You look homeless, but kind of cute. It's alright.
Even Carrie's surprised that the tide might be turning.
When I was sober, I was definitely thinking that confident-looking people looked sort of attractive. And then as I was buzzed, they looked cocky. And then as I got drunker, I was sort of thinking that the people that were attractive were sort of the more vulnerable-looking people, sort of like the more sadder characters. They looked cuter.
And that's why men will never, ever guess what a woman is thinking. Carrie's score is 153.
I can't remember if that's higher or lower than either of my scores.
That's a 64-point jump from last time. As for the man bent on putting reason back into romance...
Jamie, drunk, start. Drunk, buzzed, sober, an apple's an apple and an orange is an orange. There we go. Drunk score 111.
From stone cold sober to stinking drunk, Jamie's judgment varied by just 11 points.
Basically what I'm saying is that I don't see that I'm subject to beard goggles.
With 3 very different results, they'll make or break this myth by checking the numbers.
I don't know about you two reprobates, but I don't feel in any condition to crunch any numbers. I think we're gonna go home, drink a lot of water, sober up, and come back tomorrow.
Did you say you're calling a taxi?
Taxi? Absolutely.
Looks to me like we all had very different reactions to the alcohol. What do you two make out of it?
I'll tell you what I see. If this myth were totally confirmed, all 3 of our graph lines would look like mine. A steady improvement in our assessment of the attractiveness of the opposite sex directly in proportion to the amount of alcohol we consumed.
It definitely looks like I was way harsher when I was buzzed than when I was sober.
And I look pretty consistent all in all.
However, I'd like to point out that both of you showed improvement from being buzzed to being drunk. That result, combined with my steady improvement all along the line, tells me this one is easily plausible.
Definitely plausible.
Okay, plausible.
Coming up,
It's gonna be easier when it's got wheels on it.
the deadly Whatcha takes shape. While Jamie and Adam totally lose the plot.
Please, don't try anything you're about to see us do at home. Ever.
Adam and Jamie have already drunk themselves sideways for science, but there's no time to sleep it off. In fact, that's exactly the point of our next myth.
Well, I've been thinking it along the lines of drinking myths. I have always wanted to do sobering up techniques, specifically because I've always wanted to see a high-speed shot of somebody getting smacked in the face.
Well, as long as that somebody is you, I'm okay with it.
Almost since the invention of alcohol, people have been drinking too much and then finding for one reason or another that they needed to get sober quickly. And they have tried a myriad of techniques. Techniques like drinking a big cup of black coffee. Vigorous exercise. It's also supposed to work. Dunking your face in some ice water. That's also supposed to work. Also, your friends might be inclined to smack you in the face to sober you up. Of course, it all begins at the bar. And although we're going to test every one of these, we got to get drunk first. Buster, set me up.
So the boys fall back off the wagon.
So you in town for a long time, or are you here for the convention?
Shut up, leave me alone.
There's those people skills, hard at work.
And that's just the first shot of 5. Realizing that things might turn ugly, the producers got Adam to pre-record the plan.
Because this whole story hinges on whether or not we are more or less sober, the researchers have found us the perfect test to determine that. This is a hand-eye coordination test that's very similar to one developed for astronauts. It simply involves staying at arm's length from a screen with weights on your arm and tracing this gray line. We are scored on both accuracy, how many times our line leaves the gray line, and for how long, and speed, how long it takes to make the whole journey. We've got a number of these. They're all different, but they're all the same length and involve the same number of turns. Jamie and I will each take one of these tests before trying the sobering up technique, and take another one after trying the sobering up technique. And we will each act as each other's controls, swapping out between techniques.
zdrowie.
Na zdrowie.
They'll need to stay consistently drunk to validate the cures.
This is like taking medicine or something. It's not. It takes all the fun out of it.
I know what you mean, brother. Tori and Grant have checked off the first part of the Whatcha myth. A bamboo arrow with a gunpowder engine can fly 500 yards. Part 2 of the test is to see if the arrows were double deadly. A warhead filled with more gunpowder was meant to explode on impact. But will it do more than just singe the skin? Only one way to find out. Tori prepares a leg of pork. Grant inserts the fuse, and hopefully, we're making bacon.
This is tissue damage test on pork.
In 3, 2, 1. Oh, wow, that's good.
Oh, wow, look at that. More burning of flesh.
All right, but as far as making it a mortal wound that explodes inside you?
Yeah, the arrow itself is probably going to do more damage than the explosion.
But we're testing for deadly injury, so it's worth rewrapping the warhead to push all that explosive energy forwards.
That's a larger exploding arrow.
I think the boys really were hoping for some sort of gore and mess, but what really happened is the energy took the path of least resistance.
In 3,